Welcome to the Public Speaking Podcast. This is Lucas, CEO of Headgain, and with me I have
Alexander, which is a communication coach. I couldn't even say that straight. They're the communication coach. I'm a communication coach here at Headgain.
Hey, and together we are here to talk about public speaking. This podcast is a new take of our old Presenter Mastery podcast, and we are really happy to be back, to be doing content, to be producing and helping you to break through in presentations, in communications. And today I thought of a topic which it came yesterday. I came out of a meeting with a woman inside of our Speaking Blueprint community. She just joined because she has an important presentation coming up. It's at the end of the month and it's a short one. And as you know, Alex, what we've been talking about is it is easy to build a 30, 40, 60-minute talk. But building
a workshop day, an 8-hour session, the simplest thing in life.
Or the conversation we just came out of, with Johannes, who said 3 days, easy. 10 minutes, I'm dead.
Yeah. So true. Been there so many times.
Which is funny. We should do an episode just on that. But what I really found interesting in this call with Catherine was she said, I've only worked here for 3 months. I don't have a story to tell. I'm not sure what would land. I don't have enough experience. And for me, what I realized was that most people don't see the stories that they have around them, or they don't see the content or where it can land with people. And I thought that was really interesting because just going through the questions that we do in our onboarding towards SpeakerX, we ask 7 questions to understand the topic and what's behind the person. So much evolves. So just by going through those types of questions made me realize that, whoa, wait a minute, you are inspiring. You have a super interesting story that you can tell. And 3, whoa, you can not only inspire, but evoke conversations, get people to speak with you afterwards, because you really bear weight in this. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, is people who feel somehow that they don't have anything to talk about.
I don't have anything to talk about. It must be one of those, I think it's like the biggest misbelief in themselves. You know the conclusion of storytelling, right? Like I have not why a little bit of imposter syndrome in combination with you don't think that you're a storyteller, which is the biggest wrongful truth there is in life, at least according to me. And just like you said, when somebody else starts asking you questions, it literally takes split seconds, and all of a sudden you jump into some sort of story, even if it's not. I know we dissect things, Lucas, and you and I, we having, okay, how much dopamine is in there, what oxytocin levels, and like how connecting is, and how building of ethos and all these things. But when push comes to shove, majority of people are storytellers. It's just that they don't see that as a story, or the opposite is that they share stories that never ends. That never ends, that there is no punchline. But this is how it happened. What you just experienced here happens to me on a regular basis on the coaching calls that I have. When we say, okay, so what stories do you have? Oh, I have nothing. Okay, so what do you mean you don't have? Okay, so if you pull up a memory, yeah, but that's not a story. Well, of course it's a story. Every memory that you have is connected to a story, to a moment that had an impact for you, both in good ways and in bad ways. But again, it's something that people need to just pull their head out of there and just realize that they are storytellers. But I was thinking there when we were saying that I should we give them any advice, like the listeners that are on here and the watchers and viewers here on the public speaking podcast? That should we? Yes? No?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Let's give them some advice.
Absolutely. Go ahead. What were you thinking of?
I was just thinking to maybe to have them to just explore that they are storytellers. Maybe not confess to that they are, but starting to seeing this. And I had one call with one guy recently, and he had this mesmerizing backdrop. And he said, like, I don't know what stories to tell. I don't know. I don't think I have any stories. I'm like, okay, so hey, behind you, you have some toy cars. Oh yeah, I do have some toy cars. Yeah, yeah. So if you pick one of those cars, like, when did you buy that one? Like, and why did you buy that one? Oh, funny that you're saying. Okay, so that car, and it took the toy car, and it started talking about the toy car, and he really got engaged into it, and I got immersed in it because I also like toy cars, specifically the ones that are built in well, this is fake Lego, but Lego things. But and I told him afterwards that, buddy, you this is exactly what I'm saying. You are a storyteller. You have the stories. It's just that somebody needs to give you a push in the right direction. Somebody needs to
Mm.
ask you the question. But what if you don't have somebody else ask the question and instead just create the story? Not something fictional, but just create the true story behind it. But he was sharing that that toy car was something that he bought on a vacation because it resembled one of the toy cars that he had when he was a
Mm.
younger kid, that he always dreamt of, and but to own, but never had the money to buy. But then, when he was a kid, he played with it so much that it broke down. And then when he became an adult, he was always like, why did I destroy the car when I was a kid? And then he went back that he found it in the toy store, and he went in and bought it. There's a beautiful connection to it, and that is
Mm.
what I'm asking everybody to do. Look around you, pick a random object, and then tell the story when you got it, why you got it. That is the simplest story that you can create. Simplest story. And start sparks then will start flying.
Yeah, and I think that's so interesting because what you're describing here is there was a dream connected to the car. There was something um, like the idea of that car and the story can be connected to so many different outcomes. I'm sitting and thinking like, okay, so how could I play this car story? Well, it could be connected to if you're talking about succeeding in business. So you remember when you were a kid, you dreamt of a car like this and you launched your story about that car and then like, okay, but now I've actually succeeded in business and I bought that car. Or
Yeah.
like it could be that. I was just thinking, I play a lot with metaphors and ways of explaining things with my kids so that they understand what it is that they're aiming for. So I'm just thinking of my daughter who's playing football and her dream goal is to become go on the national team in football, be on TV and be the best player. And I could use the car story there as well as an aspirational story, as something that holds value. That's something that you now you like as a kid the only thing you can do is buy this toy car, but it is the thing that you look at on
Mm.
and dream about. You see the end vision. It could be used in that as well. And I think one of the keys that are coming to me is people have these stories around them, but for some reason, it is imposter syndrome. Something happens where you feel this story isn't worth sharing.
Mm.
There is no
Yeah.
value. Why would someone want to listen to this?
Yeah.
But
I
I'm
totally
here
agree.
but I'm here to tell you, listening to this, yeah, there is so much weight. When I'm
Mm.
listening to people's boring stories, I just hear so much value.
Yeah.
And I think we just forget that. I don't know. I don't know how we ended up feeling that there is no value because you carry so much.
I think that somebody somewhere down the line, somewhere, somehow, it can be a boss, not a leader, but a boss. It can be parents, it can be school, it can be teachers, it can be friends. Somewhere down the line, people have probably said something, and that sticks so hard because the emotional impact was so negatively bounded. So people then to go like, no, I'm not doing that again because I had one bad experience or maybe two bad experiences, and what frustrates me is that was what then categorizes how you then live your life in business and how you live your life in private,
Mm.
because of something that someone once said in the past by when you were sharing something. The second thing, though, is I think the lack of punchlines, conclusions. That can also be one of those reasons why people don't want to share them. It's I know you and I, we've been experienced people that they tell the stories, but they never come. it never comes to
It
an
never
end.
ends.
It never ends. It's a never-ending story, so to
Yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah.
And that is also something that if somebody then goes, oh, don't ask the question, don't ask the question. Oh, somebody asked the question. Okay, here we go again. And then you can hear that person this is the effect that somebody has on somebody else. It's like, oh no, please don't. Oh, a little bit like I remember my grandmom on my dad's side. She could sometimes talk about stories for eons and eons and eons, and then went back to Sweden. She was down in Austria, came back again maybe half a year later, and then you accidentally said something, she went right into that one again. And I'm not saying that it was a bad story, I'm just saying it was the repetitiveness of the never ending story.
Yeah,
And you're
yeah.
like, oh no,
Was
why
it
did you that?
do you have the same? My grandmother always told the same story of me
Yeah,
as a kid. It was me and the lawnmower, and I was just
yeah,
japping, but they couldn't hear what I was saying, and I've heard it like 30 times. But it's now one of those things where I'm looking back at that story and
yeah,
I'm in that moment. I'm with my
yeah,
grandmother. She's not here anymore, but I can listen to it in my head, and I can laugh about it, and I can feel good about it,
yeah.
which is fun.
And that
I
is true. That is true.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, I think that, of course, back in the day when we were, but it was again to come to where the limitations are, and I think
Mm,
that thing be some of the beliefs that people have that they are not, again, not the storytellers that they are. My
yeah.
question to you is, how do you what do you personalize, like, the personalize? Where do you personally find it? When are the moments that you jump into stories, and how do you figure out the stories that you want to use? I know how I do it, but I'm curious to hear what your aspect to it and approaches to that.
Interesting for me. It's I wouldn't say I have a process or something that I follow to 100%. I've become accustomed to sharing answers as stories. Like, if you ask me about something, it will remind me of something, and
Mhm.
I'll recall that story, and I'll somehow instantly find a connection to what we're talking about. That's I would say launching stories for me is you say something, it sounds familiar, it pops an idea in my head. There's an old story in my vault that I pull out and it comes out, and I'm quite unstoppable in that. When the connection is made, the delivery will come.
Whether they want it or not, it's like, yeah, it's just
Yeah,
going right
like,
now and pushing it.
sorry, this will be a bit long,
Yeah,
but and
yeah.
then
I love that. I love, when you have that saying, making a long story short.
yeah,
It
yeah,
never
yeah.
happened. Not for me. I'm the worst person. I'm the worst person. I'm like, okay, making the story. So I've stopped saying making a long story short. I'm just saying
Mm,
making a long story longer, and I
mm.
just keep on
But
expanding
that's
on it.
interesting because
Yeah.
I think I can make it short, because I remember when my dad, when I was a kid, and he was like, "Okay, what was this movie about?" Because he wanted to go see it because I had seen it, and then I had these long talks of
Mm,
talking about, like, I'm off screen showing how long this is. it's it never ended because I couldn't find I didn't know how to conclude. I
yeah.
didn't know how to compress, and I remember I was 10 and I decided I need to learn this. And I slowly, in my explanations of things, explanation of anything, tried to find a way to make it shorter. And so I kind of have that in the back. But it's like with everything, you have to practice. No
I
practice,
do.
no result.
I do that every single day now. My wife is, she's literally, she's the one who's killing me every single time when I start jumping into stories. She just looks at me. She has a special look. She doesn't have to say anything. In the beginning, she usually said like, "Oh, look," but now she just have to look. I recognize the look. And for instance, if we're at dinner with some friends or whatever, and I jump into story, and she just gives me the look. I'm like, "Oh, snap! All right, okay, where am I? I need to just, okay, conclusion, come to the conclusion. Make there's so much beautiful that I want to mention over here that will gain some dopamine, some serotonin, a little bit of
Mm,
testosterone,
mm,
a little cortisol as well, a little
mm.
setback, and then I go like, oh, skip it. Let's just jump straight to the conclusion because, but she that at the same time with the storytelling game that we normally play with giving a person the location and 3 objects,
Yeah.
something we'll talk about in a different episode as well. But that what thanks to her. my brain has just gone, just please, synopsis, shorten the distance. It's like super fast instead. So yeah, I'm thankful for that.
You'll do well on social media then.
Yeah.
Because the story cannot be too long. Well, in a podcast, we can talk here for 2 hours.
We can
if we
talk
want
for
to.
eons
There
and
are
eons. If you
podcasts.
can just, yeah.
There are podcasts that are like 3 hours long. Well, my goal is not to make this podcast a 3-hour podcast. But
No, I'm disappointed because I would love to sit here and talk for 3 hours. That would just be great. Like life, the existence of life. Well, it all started on March 8th, 1983.
Yeah.
Which is an upcoming day soon. I don't know if this episode
Okay, so
is
to
be
bring
out
it back, Alex.
Yes, there we go. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I'm making a short story long story longer.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so if a person feels that they don't have value, they feel that their story isn't valuable, what can they do? Do you have an idea?
Yes. Go to www.school.com/speak and join the speaking blueprint. See, that was advertisement. Now, honestly, the thing is, of course, the solution is going to be in there because then you really get accessibility to the entire storytelling course that David has created over the years and that we have used very, very well with great results. But from the aspect of if you feel that you don't have the value to it, you need to take a little look in the mirror and you need to say, okay, how can I change that thinking? How can I change that thought? And the easiest way is to just, like I said, start telling the small stories. Tell the stories about when you got your phone, or no, let's skip that. Let me rephrase that. Look at an item that you have at home and just go, okay, just tell yourself the story. How did you purchase that? You don't even have to speak it out loud. Just go through it in your head. How did you how did you buy it? When did you buy it? Why did you buy it? That is the start of the story where you can see that, hey, you know what? And then reflect. Is there value to that one? Because when you push yourself into that, not in the negative thought lines, but more of the positivity lines, you will see that, hey, you know what? Yeah, that's that was a good story, and it was, yeah, and I now understand. So maybe that one object can then be shared if somebody then asks you anywhere, if you have some, not anywhere, but if somebody comes to your home, like, that is a really beautiful vase you got over there. Funny that you mentioned that, and all of a sudden you jump into the story. Boom, you get a story. You can now start believing in that you are a storyteller. You were created to be a storyteller. That's it. That's it. We'll talk about I just want to refer to the grandma thing that we did before. That generation was the last great generation. That was the generation who really shared knowledge between human beings and in between generations by telling the stories. It wasn't the know-how, it was the stories that they gave. That was how they transferred that knowledge to someone else through that story. So why don't you just start doing that with your generation and the people that are around you? Just share knowledge through stories, and that will help you. And then, what would your advice be? Throwing back the question.
Sure. I'm very direct and practical. I would say if you don't believe that there is value to what you're saying, you need to test it on others, and you will find value if it matters to you. If you have a core why to what you're doing, what you're speaking about, why are you speaking about this? Why is it important to you? Does that story show a part of that why? Then there is value to it. And why should they listen and why should they care? The person you're talking to, do you see a direct way where they could benefit from this story that would make them understand the topic, the process, the whatever you're talking about, make them understand it in a better way? Then it holds value. So if you can, your why, their why are we doing this? If you can connect it to one of those things, there is value. Even though you don't see it currently, there is. And I think that was the key takeaway I took from speaking with Catherine just the other day. Was she sat at the interception, what do you call it, the place between, she was looking at community and benefits for communities from her electrical company. And she had this story of she's had been part of a project where they helped build solar panels, fund solar panels for a small rural community. And because this company came in and did that, that community could put the money towards other things inside of the community. And the project brought in the elderly, the kids, the middle-agers. Everyone was coming together and building together. And I'm sitting and listening to this, and I'm like, God damn it, that's inspiring.
That's a good story. That's a great story. Yeah.
And she was like, what do you mean? Really? Yes, 100%. So good and fitted so well with what she was going to speak about. So I hope, Catherine, if you listen to this, I know it was end of this month that you were doing the talk. I hope you used it. I hope it landed. To anyone else, sometimes we don't realize the value of the story that we have. And you just need to try it. But if it connects to your why, to those who are listening, or to your company, why are you doing it? Then it holds value. That's what I want to say.
See, I couldn't say it better myself. Just listen to this guy. I'm done. I'm no longer a communication coach. I'll let the CEO of the company go in and just hey. All right. You know what time it is right now? It is time of Skill of the Week.
Skill of the Week. Yeah. It is that time of the episode where I ask Alex to go into the Rolodex of 110 step skills and pull out one that could benefit you today. And based on it, I will just hand it over. But practice it, try it, do something, because that's what, in the end, if you're only listening to this podcast and doing nothing, you have done nothing. If you take one action, you've done something, and you will be better today or tomorrow than you were yesterday.
Oh, that's sweet. Did you want to give me a number?
52.
Oh. All right, skill number 52. So we have 110 different skills to choose from the 110 Steps of Excellent Communication, founded by David J.P. Phillips. Skill number 52 is no other than volume size. And just to give you an example, Lucas was doing this previously in the podcast. So when it comes to volume and size, it goes into the collection of what we address as functional gestures. So functional gestures is skill number 44. We're not going to talk about them today, but we're going to talk about one of these specific gestures. So skill number 52, when you are addressing something, because we know now that looking at scientific studies since the 1960s up to today's date show that body language, small, big gestures, whatever it is, micro expressions as well in your face, it can create up to around 70% of gaining trust for what you are sharing from somebody else. Skill 52 has to do with the size and the volume that you're sharing. So if you rewatch, and recall, Lucas was doing something gigantic. You know, he was expanding beyond the screen that he couldn't see it. So if I would do this, look, guys, I have this sphere in front of me. Right now, it's growing. It's growing. It's growing. It is growing. It is growing. And all of a sudden, the air is now deflating it. It's becoming smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. You go like, I can see that sphere in front of me. This is using volume. But then it can also be size. You know, if you would have a tennis ball in your hand right now, yeah, this is a tennis ball. So that is now also a size that I'm showing. Remember when you're practicing this, be bold, be brave. So when things are growing, you show growth. If things are tall, you show tall. If they're short, you do the same thing, but the opposite. And then if something shrinks, you do this with your hands. But when it comes to size of things, remember that if you want to make sure that you gain the trust that you deserve, the size needs to matter with the object's reality size of what you're showing. So if you're saying the tennis ball was this big, I know that there are tennis balls that are this big, but this is normally not the case. A tennis ball is this big. But if there's say that you are talking about a basketball and you're showing this one, that is not the truth. So whatever object you're showing, make sure that it's connected to the right size. Then all of a sudden, you have created a beautiful little image in somebody's head about the object that you're showing, the size that you're describing, that makes it much clearer and creates that trust in you. And that was Skill of the Week.
Yeah.
By Alexander Grabner Jarling. Yeah, you're welcome.
Good.
I don't know why I said it in third person. It's just feels like, okay, he's a little...
Well, you are,
Skibidi.
but I love you anyway.
Yeah, Thank you. Likewise.
All right. Well, this has been a very fun episode. I think this was interesting, and I hope that you as listener have found value in this. And remember that your stories carry weight. Whether you believe it or not, find the why and deliver it. You'll get there. If you want to learn more, you can find us at school.com/speak, which is the speaking blueprint community. That's where we, on a daily basis, show up, have fun, and share everything that we know. And we have courses. You've had cool people to hang out with. Alex, you did a karaoke, PowerPoint karaoke session recently.
Yeah, we're doing that. We're going to include that every month. There's going to be at least one PowerPoint karaoke where you bring yourself, we bring the things. But the beautiful thing, you have to share this with passion, even if you've never seen whatever it is that you're going to talk about. It's crazy. It's literally crazy.
So
we did some beautiful stuff. But
so that is it.
The description will be in the link below. Don't forget that. It will be down here somewhere.
Link and description and everything. So that is it. Thank you again for listening. We'd hope you love to see you inside the Speaking Blueprint. If not, keep listening. We'll see you. Take care.
Arrivederci tutti. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.